So for today's video, I'm happy to be a part of this Valentine's Day collaboration with Claire's Crafty Corner and others. And for this video, I am doing 5 Dollar Tree Valentine's Day DIYs. Starting first with the DIY Dollar Tree Valentine's Day $5 wreath makeover. So the first thing I do is I pick up this wreath from the plus section, and it inspired me to basically give it a makeover. I really wanted to take a break from doing wreaths out of ribbon and tulle and actually try my hand at this variation instead. And I also wanted to give it an upgrade because I didn't really care for these red roses, and I wanted to give it a mix of other colors using other Dollar Tree flowers. So the next thing I do is I grab my flowers that I selected and just remove the flowers from their stems, and I remove the red roses as well. And then I go ahead and play around with an arrangement until I get an arrangement that I like. I'll be honest, I am not an expert floral arrangement artist or florist or whatever, so it's totally okay to not be an expert in this sort of thing, but I think it's a lot of fun to go ahead and try to make an arrangement that you like. I'll be honest too that I looked at it after I finished gluing everything down and realized I probably should have arranged it just a little bit differently, but I still think it turned out really nice. I also decided to go ahead and remove the red ribbon that I didn't like, as well as most of the leaves on this pre-made wreath. One of the floral stems came with this baby's breath, and I wanted to go ahead and add it back into the floral arrangement. So once I saw where I liked it, I went ahead and glued that in as well. From the 6-pack of heart-shaped fuchsia ornaments, I decided to use one of each kind and place them where I liked, and then removed the silver string and then went ahead and glued that in. I also really liked these white heart-shaped floral picks, I guess you'd call them, and I decided to add one of those into this floral arrangement because I just thought it was really pretty, and I feel like you could also turn it into a conversation heart if you have a cricket, which I don't, but I think it looks good without any conversation hearts too. I think this turned out really pretty, and here it is on my door. What do you guys think? So for the next DIY, I did a DIY Dollar Tree Valentine's Day or Galentine's Day centerpiece for those that want to do a party or something. So first you're going to need this circular floral foam from the Dollar Tree. I wanted my centerpiece to match my wreath, so I decided to use the same exact floral stems as I did for my wreath and pulled all the floral pieces and the leaves off their stems. I intend to use as much, if not all of them, for this project. Then, following the same process as DIYing the wreath, I go ahead and just play around with an arrangement until I got something that I liked. I think for this one, I did much better with creating some sort of a pattern that I thought looked really, really nice together. And so you could tell that I end up with kind of alternating colors as best as I could, and when I realized that I was going to stick with a pink as the main flower at the top, I decided to take my remaining two, pull them apart, and create another flower with the outer portions of the rose so that I can make 3 extra flowers, and then that way nothing is missing, because I didn't see a point in going to the store and buying a whole nother floral stem just to get one rose for this project. I also tried to repurpose as many of the leaves as possible by covering the floral foam because I really didn't want to just throw them out, and so I go ahead and use them to glue in any spots that needed covering. So to ensure I use as many of the leaves as possible, I go ahead and repurpose them by putting them underneath each of the roses as much as I could, and I really like the way that turns out. And I also felt that the extra rose that I created out of the outer layers kind of made it look like there was one big bulky one, but in these projects, unfortunately, it's not going to be perfect unless I just run to the store and just get another one. And I add some baby's breath sprinkled in here and there, glued in, and I also repeat the process of adding in those fuchsia colored heart-shaped ornaments as well as the white one. And I take the white one actually and decide to make it a flower in a sense by adding the leaves underneath it and then laying it on top. I don't even glue in the ornaments or this piece just in case I want to change it up next year. So the next one is a DIY Dollar Tree Valentine's Day Kissing Booth Makeover. I saw this kissing booth and I thought I just had to make it over because something was missing and the main subject is missing. But I was also inspired by another item of a kissing booth with a cute dog in it at the Dollar Tree. And I thought, why not do something else with it? So here I go ahead and start by covering up the edges, originally with a Sharpie, but it was going to be too tedious of a task. So then I go ahead and switch over to my black chalk paint, and I just go over the entire outer and the inside edges. I did anticipate a little bit of spillage over to the front side, and I knew I would have to try to clean that up as quickly as possible, so I take a clean brush dipped in water and to go ahead and try to remove as much of it as possible. But in the end, I couldn't remove all of it, even with wiping it down and stuff. So I ended up deciding to sort of lean into it by trying to make this more of a vintage look. And I do that by going ahead and intentionally taking dirty or watered down paint and just trying to cover over the top of it so that it looks more vintage. So I got this pack of red and pink glittered hearts. They come in a variety of shapes, and I decide to use that to go over the top of the existing hearts on this kissing booth. In the crafts section, they have this 4-pack of heart-shaped chalkboard tags. I thought just taking one of these would be perfect to go over the top of the large heart with the $sign on it, and plus the glitter on there was kind of sad looking, and I just wanted to just make this piece over, so I decided to use one of these chalkboard tags instead. And to cover up the hole, I decided to take one of the glitter hearts to go over top. I just have to decide on the placement. So once I hot glue the glittered heart onto the tag, I go ahead and take my white chalk writer from Dollar Tree and go ahead and add the $sign and dollar to the chalkboard tag. This toy Stitch is from the toy section. I just had to add him into this because Stitch is super cute. So I go ahead and take him and decide to glue him down within the sign, and then once I had him laid down, I decided to take the chalkboard tag with a heart glued on top and move it up just high enough so that I can cover up the visible hot glue. Then I found this pack of lip-shaped wood pieces in various colors in both wood, red, and faded red, I guess. And I decided to double stack it so it gives it some dimension. And then basically at the last minute, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna glue this over top the heart that's on top of the chalkboard. And I really like the way that looks because it then looks like the tongue inside the mouth is actually glitter. Then I decided, you know, I should probably use some of the larger shaped glittered hearts and decide to take a couple of, like one of each, and one to cover up the original lips on the sign and the other one just to have randomly on the other side of the sign, if that makes sense. The next DIY is a DIY Dollar Tree Valentine's Day gnome painting. I picked up an 8x10 canvas board from Dollar Tree and also grabbed a pack of this carbon paper from Amazon and printed out this Valentine's Day gnome design. I'll do my best to make sure I include a copy in the description box below, but please let me know if you don't see it. That said, the carbon paper is not required. You could just take the back of your printed design and just cover it completely with pencil. The carbon paper allows you to skip that step. I traced my design using a mechanical pencil, but you can also use a regular pencil or a pen. Just make sure the pressure you put down is hard enough to where you can lift up the paper slightly just to check to make sure that the image is being transferred. Once your design is entirely traced onto your canvas board, go ahead and take a Sharpie and outline the entire design. This is a great time to decide the colors you're going to use, and I struggled with this slightly just because I didn't have a large selection of pinks and reds in my paint collection, so I had to kind of do the best I could with what I had, just simply because at this point in time I was trying to avoid spending more money on supplies, so I made my own shades if I had to with other colors, and then some green for the grass as well. But once the design is entirely traced in Sharpie, you are good to get started on painting your design. I did make this project last year for Valentine's Day, and I don't recall them showing any sort of canvas material they were selling at Dollar Tree where they had pre-printed images on there to where you could just paint over them like this one. However, I do know that they are selling them now. I just don't know that you'll find one that is a Valentine's Day gnome yet. But if you do see that, let me know in the comments below. Feel free to grab one of those instead and then follow the same steps with your selection of paint. So with the background for the sky, I just decided to blend my shades of blue, and then I made sure to use white and just sort of try to dry brush as best as I could. And I think it turned out just fine. I really just had fun with this project, and I recommend that if you try this, you do the same thing. For the skin tone, I went with something as close to like a sort of a peachy, light peachy color, and then I wanted to give some dimension to the skin since there's a big ginormous nose on this gnome. So I go ahead and take some pink and just kind of try to blend it in there just so that it gives it some shade and color and stuff. So I go ahead and focus on the hair, and I first color it with a shade of tan, and then I go ahead and use brown to give it some actual strands, or what appears to be hair strands. I repeat the process doing the grass, and then I add in a little butterfly on one of the grass pieces and then some flying birds in the distance. And then I actually ended up off camera fixing the color of the gnome's outfit. Then after letting it dry, I go ahead and take my Sharpie and go over all the lines, and that's the end of this project. I sit it inside of a 8x10 frame from Dollar Tree. What do you guys think? So for this last project, I decided to do a DIY Dollar Tree Valentine's Day fridge or locker magnet. This would also make a great gift for your best friend, your significant other, or maybe even your parents or grandparents. It doesn't need to be for someone of a significant other. So first I picked up this pack of DIY ornaments in the seasonal Valentine's Day section, and these ones I thought would make a great DIY magnet idea. I also selected a photo from our cell phones that we would go ahead and print out on wallet size through Walgreens, and then you get 4 copies of them, which is plenty. And then go ahead and try to take the frame, if you will, and cover over the images and figure out a good spot. But meanwhile, you could also take a scrap sheet of paper. I'm using construction paper, and I'm tracing the inside of the hearts so that I can get an idea of how large of space I'm going to need to cut around. So I use that to go over the images again with the construction paper that I cut out to see where I can cut around the images for the actual project. So I hope that's making sense, but you'll see that I'm cutting around the outside of the original lines and repeating that process with cutting out the images as well. So I decided to take 2 of them out, and I wanted to experiment with Dollar Tree's paints because I had not done so before, and so I tried the red tempera paint as well as the red metallic acrylic paint. And from this experience, I discovered very quickly that I was not a fan of the tempera paint because it just looks very faint and it looks like it's just more of a wood stain, versus the metallic acrylic red paint. Even though it's not a very strong red, it does show up a little bit metallic. I do like that a lot, and actually for $1.25, that's a really great price. I then take another frame, and then I take my cutout images and I place them on top of the spots that I want them at, and I flip it over and hot glue it together, where I put the hot glue along the edges of the inside of the frame as well as the actual image itself, the back of it anyways. I hope that makes sense. I go ahead and try to cover up the hole using hot glue, but I didn't really like the result of that, so I decided to go ahead and use scrap tissue paper to give the entire frame some texture by Mod Podging it on there with some scrunched up pieces. Then I let that dry and repaint it again with the red metallic paint from Dollar Tree. Next, I go ahead and take the painted piece and I hot glue it to the piece with the images, making sure that the shapes are completely aligned. And then because I couldn't leave well enough alone, I go ahead and take this color shift paint and paint it along the edges of the shapes. Then I still couldn't leave well enough alone and had to take this extreme silver glitter and repeat the same steps. And in fact, I try to spread it all throughout as well. And finally, I picked up this pack of 14 button magnets from Dollar Tree, and I go ahead and select 5 pieces and spread them out sporadically, otherwise they will connect because they're strong, and hot glue those down, and then here it goes on the fridge. Let me know in the comments below which one of these projects was your favorite. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, comment, and subscribe for more, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.